3 years ago, I was approached by a principal at my school to work with a child that had cancer. And this student had cancer for about 6 years, and he always had a struggle attending school because he had to go for chemo treatments and things like that. So he missed a lot of school. It wasn't the fact that he couldn't do the work, it was just the fact that he was missing gaps in direct instruction in order to complete the work. And so a lot of the time, mom or dad would have to come in, they would have to be taught what was missed in class, and then go home and teach their son how to do this. Very time consuming for everybody. I was asked by the principal if there was a way that I could reach this student through technology. And at first I was stumped. I was just thinking, okay, well, we could use programs that already exist like Kurzweil to help him with his writing and things like that. And 3 days later I was at a Pro-D at Surrey here, and they were using iPods, and it was the first time that they were trying to use iPods in the district. And basically they took a recording device and plugged it into the bottom of the iPod. And now that was a tape recorder. And right away it clicked to me that I could use this in my classroom to record my direct instruction for that student. His SEA would then take that recorded material, send it through first class to him who was sitting at home, and he would open it on his first class and he would listen to the instruction. While he's listening to the instruction, the SEA back at the school is scanning the worksheet for him to do. And I'm giving instructions to the class on what to do on the worksheet. So as soon as he's finishing, now he has a new email with that worksheet, and he was able to download that, type in his answers, and send that back to me to mark. We were basically creating a way for him to be about 30 minutes behind the rest of the classroom. If we started at 8:30 and went to 2:30, his day started at 9 and went to 3. And on certain days he would go for his chemo treatment and he would be back in the afternoon, but he would be completely caught up because as he was getting his chemo treatment, all of these videos or audio was coming to his iPod, and he could listen and he could work on the work while he was receiving his treatment. And so it was an incredible way to keep a student, one, getting his own direct instruction, completing the work, coming in, realizing all the things that had happened in the class that day, not having to catch up, and getting on with the day. And he had a sense of normalcy in his life, and he had a sense of independence in his life. And so when we saw this working, we realized that, hey, what if we send video instead of just audio? So it got to the point where we were getting really extreme, and we were like, well, this is working so well, we have our method, so let's film the lesson. Then he can see what's being written on the chalkboard and send that into his iPod. He was just taking class at home or at school. It didn't matter where he was, in the hospital, he was doing the same classwork as everybody else. And he loved it, and he had a huge sense of happiness all the time. So it was a nice thing to be able to do, especially in his final year of his life, to be able to do this for him. And it certainly opened my eyes to the power of iPods, and I haven't really turned away from them ever since. I've always said, okay, if they can do this, let's see what apps can do in the classroom. And when they say that there's an app for everything, there is truly an app for everything. The parents really felt, when we did a post-interview, they really felt they didn't have to teach him the school. He could just do the schoolwork on his own. And they saw right away that it gave him this independence that he never had before, since he was in grade 2. And he was now in grade 7, and he obviously becoming 13 wanted nothing more than to be independent, and he truly got that. And so the parents just thought it was amazing what was happening. And actually I did my thesis for my master's on this experience, and what I noticed is that I had a lineup of parents saying, we heard you do this thing, and so will you interview us? And just that was the same thing that kept coming up, was that it's too much parent time to have to teach our children, and so we give up. The child gets frustrated, they stop going to school, they don't like school. But what was different about this, that was different than all those other experiences, was he was independent, he could do the work on his own. Parents were left to do other things and be parents, not teachers, and he was happy. He wanted to be at school. And so that was the big difference.